Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. We had another massive weekend of Premier Division action in the League of Ireland. All 10 teams are involved for the first time in a number of weeks. We had some very significant results. Let's get straight into this one. First up at Dalymount Park, there's a matchday vlog out for Bohemians Drogheda United, so check that one out, guys. But it finished Bohemians 0, Drogheda United 1. Josh Thomas late goal with 4 minutes to go was enough to give the Blindsiders a victory over the Gypsies. A very significant win for Drogheda United and a fairly significant defeat for Bohemians with the other results. Shamrock Rovers win of the weekend puts them 10 clear of Bohemians. As an example, Bohemians are 9 points clear of 7th place. So we'll get into Shamrock Rovers later on, etc. But I can't see anyone stopping them, basically. In the match itself, Bohemians will be disappointed enough with the result. It's their third defeat against Drogheda United as well this season. So and all 1-0 as well, which is significant. But a fantastic win for Drogheda United, and the one that laid on with Josh Thomas coming on. Great play actually by Conor Keeley, great interception, lovely through ball. But Thomas has a lot of work to do still. Lovely first touch, gets in Tereska and scores to give Drogheda all 3 points. Bows, as you would expect and as I predicted in the preview, would have an awful lot of possession of the ball. The question is, would they have enough guile and control to be able to break Drogheda down? The answer to that was no. Their best chance really was in the first half, a sumptuous ball by Dawson Devoy. A reverse pass, he caught everyone off guard except for Ross Tierney, who had made the run. And his shot is well saved by Luke Dennison in the Drogheda United goal. That was their best chance. Tierney did have a chance second half where he hits the side netting, but that was their best chance. Outside of that, they didn't create too many chances. And I've seen before a lot of teams play Drogheda when they have a lot of the ball and they tend to spam crosses into the box. Bows did that a lot and it didn't work. It's never working. Meat and drink to the likes of Conor Keeley, Andrew Quinn and James Bulger, really. And Drogheda. I've seen Vinnie Perth's comments actually in Drogheda United, calling it Puke Football. I think that's completely disrespectful and completely ridiculous. Drogheda United have one of the smallest budgets in the league, if not the smallest budget in the league. A fourth in the table, a point behind Bohemians, level with Derry City. 10 games to go and they're on the hunt for Europe. That deserves a little bit of credit, a little bit of praise, to be fair. They've only lost 5 games in the league too. Only Shamrock Rovers have lost less and they've lost 4. So difficult to play against. And I've said this before, I love seeing teams play in different ways. I've enjoyed watching Galway play the way they play. I enjoy watching Shamrock Rovers to play the way they play, for example, and they all play very different. You know, the sort of way. And Drogheda United have a template, and I don't understand. I've repeated this about 10 times, I'd say, but I'll repeat it again. I don't understand why people don't understand that Drogheda let the opposition have the ball. That's within their game plan in a game. They're happy to let the opposition have the ball. It's as simple as that. And the question then is, can you break us down? It's frustrating, and that's one of the reasons they do it. They try and frustrate the opposition and grind them down. And they do it often. They've drawn with St. Patrick's Athletic, for example, 3 times 0-0 this season, as an example, doing something similar. And I'd be fascinated watching them play, because the way they play takes an awful lot of work rate. It takes an awful lot of teamwork and really shouldering the wheel for the lad beside you. It takes a massive amount of desire, a complete buy-in, and a serious amount of concentration and focus to do what they do regularly. And that's to stifle the opposition, work hard all over the pitch to block spaces, and then they've pace in the counter-attack. Whether it be Thomas Alua, Josh Thomas coming back into the fray, Markey on the break. From Kevin Doherty's point of view, what he's thinking is, if I can reduce the opposition to a couple of chances, in which they tend to generally, but even with about 30% of the ball, we feel confident we could create 3 or 4 chances. And if we can score 1 or 2, brilliant. In this game, they didn't create too many, but they created 1 and was enough. They also, I think, noticed that Bows were leaving 2 at the back, especially late in the game, and they took advantage of that also. And what happens is the opposition, Bows in this case, get very frustrated the more the game goes on. Very, very frustrated and tend to run out of ideas. This is exactly what happened. And it's brilliant actually to watch. It's brilliant to watch different teams do play different systems, play different ways. And what they do, they've mastered it. It's not easy to do, as I said. You need to be really, really on it mentally. The work rate, desire, commitment, focus, teamwork, buy-in is all there. And I'd imagine that Drogheda dressing room is an unbelievable dressing room. And who's to say they're not going to qualify for Europe this season? You know? That break could have done them well, you know? Mentally more than anything, actually, especially after the European, I don't know, debacle, if you like. But you have to give them serious credit. And look, people can call it puke football, this, that, or the other. But that's more born out of frustration for me and an annoyance that maybe they failed to break them down. A lot of teams failed to break them down. And it's very, very difficult to play against them. It's not easy to play against them. And what happens is you do end up spamming crosses into the box because it's so difficult to find those little spaces. And as I said, the Volley found one. And you probably feel like if you get one or two like that, you must take one against Drogheda United. And that probably leads to a bit of anxiety when it comes to composure in front of goal as well. And they're brilliant at it. They're absolutely brilliant at it. And, you have to doff your cap. I'd imagine as well to the players in the dressing room and Kevin Doherty, when he hears stuff like puke football and people moaning saying, we had 75% possession or 70% possession, it's ridiculous. I'd say that's music to their ears, to be honest with you. Absolute music to their ears, I would say. And football's about putting the ball in the back of the net. You can dominate teams sometimes and have 60% of the ball when they're trying to get in the ball as well, and you can create chances. But as I said, Drogheda, they let you have the ball and they say, come and break us down. Can you do it? Have you got the mental courage as well to last the 90 minutes without getting frustrated? And in this game, Bows did get frustrated. But from Bows' point of view, they're still in a good position for me. Still favourites for Europe. I do think, they've a big game next week against Shelburn away, though. There's only 4 points in it. So if Shelburn to win that, suddenly you're kind of going, this is getting interesting. So the European place can still get interesting, but I still think Bows are in a good position, to be fair to them. And certainly have enough quality in attacking areas generally to get in. But let me know what you think in the comments. Turner's Cross finished Cork City 1, Galway United 0, and an early goal from young Josh Fitzgerald was enough to give the Rebels a 1-0 win against Galway United. And it's a great win for Cork City. They're only third of the season on 18 points. Look, it's unlikely they're going to get out of trouble, but, enjoy your wins, basically. Maybe the pressure could be off a little bit now because of that. Who knows? But an absolutely fantastic performance and victory for them. And Brandon Gold made some exceptional saves, to be fair. And Galway United just couldn't find a way through. But you'd argue they probably deserved that bit of luck, Cork. They've been unlucky with a lot of situations. The Cottle O'Sullivan injury lately as well, etc., etc. But hammer blow for Galway United, I have to say. I know Sligo Rovers, we'll get on to them later, lost. But suddenly now they're 4 points off Waterford, who are just ahead of them, and 6 points off St. Patrick's Athletic. 3 points ahead Sligo Rovers, who have momentum even though they lost against Shelburn on Saturday. And it's a concern for Galway United. You'd have to say at this minute in time, you'd nearly have them favourites to finish ninth. They're just running out of steam, aren't they? And they're not scoring many goals. And I know they got 2 the other week, but losing Moses Dyer, obviously Hickey hasn't chipped in with many lately. Stephen Walsh has chipped in with 1 or 2, but they're not getting many goals, and in general they're conceding goals. It's a disappointment. In the game they could have got something out of it, and even a point would have been a big thing. But I think Galway United fans would have been targeting this regardless of the Sligo Rovers result and saying to themselves, this is definitely a must not lose, but if we could win this, it might give us a bit of a gap ahead of Sligo Rovers. So, and you feel like Galway United need that, and they do need to play each other as well by the end of the season. But it's a disappointing result for them. Cork City, it's a brilliant result for them, and look, their fans need a bit of an uplift and enjoy the moment, I would say. Derry City, I think, next week as well, but enjoy the moment. But great result for Cork City. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, moving on to that Sligo Rovers game, which was played on Saturday at the Showgrounds, where I finished Sligo Rovers 0, Shelburn 2, and first of all, a brilliant result for Shelburn. Ali Coote's brilliant goal in 47 minutes was followed up by Sean Boyd's goal in 77 to give them a 2-0 win against the Bitter Red. And put Shelburn now in the position, they're in the midst of Europe, but you're looking at Shelburn and you're kind of going, suddenly, they're 4 points behind Bohemians, but they're on the coattails of Derry City and Drogheda United. So the European race, could be the most interesting thing in the last 10 games. Can someone like a Shelburn find momentum? Can someone like St. Patrick's Lake, who are 3 points adrift behind them, find momentum? It's very interesting. Can the likes of Bows or Derry hold their nerve? Can Drogheda keep doing what they're doing with 10 games to go for the rest of the season? Like, at the moment, you'd have 5 teams in the race, wouldn't you really? I know Pat's on the periphery slightly, but they're only, where are they? 6 points off Derry, for example. So technically they are still in the race. But for Shelburn, it's a big result, especially on the back of, in the midst of the European campaign, you need to be able to try and pick up results. And Sligo did miss chances in this game, to be fair. They missed a great chance at 0-0, and you feel like you have to be taking that, to be fair. And they missed another chance as well later on in the game. So they could have got something out of the game, technically, in that sense. Then it's Sam Sargent's red card with 6 minutes to go, and okay, the game is up anyway. And it's obviously given because they think he's brought the ball over the line. It looks a bit harsh to me, I have to say, and even replays aren't conclusive. Now, I believe the linesman didn't give it, and I'm not really sure how the ref could have seen that, to be honest with you, in the position he was in. The linesman obviously didn't see it either, but I would have thought he would have been in a better position than a referee to give it and see it quickly. I don't know if the referee kind of judges us based on the panic of Sam Sargent, but he does release the ball. Does he release it on time? It's difficult to say. I think he probably does. So disappointing thing for him and Sligo Rovers is that he'll miss the next number of games. I think that's the biggest thing to come out of it. But the result, it played no part in it whatsoever. I like the way Joey O'Brien's using, I've said it for a few weeks, Ali Coote and Harry Wood in those roaming 10 positions where they have license to change, basically, switch with each other, and license to play anywhere across those lines. Because Harry Wood's got the creativity and the guile, Coote has the drive and the finishing power. And it's the one big change I've noticed since O'Brien came in. And it's working well for them, basically. So massive 3 points for Shelburn. Disappointing for Sligo Rovers. It'd be disappointing because that's their 6-game unbeaten run, unbeaten, or coming to an end, I should say. But they're 3 points behind Sligo Rovers, or behind Galway United. And you still feel they have the momentum and Galway United don't. So, disappointing result for them, but far from a disaster. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, Sunday finished Waterford FC 0, St. Patrick's Lake 2 at the RSC. Mason Amelia's early goal in 18 minutes and Conor Carty's goal in 84 minutes, his first since returning to the club, were enough to give the Saints a well-deserved victory over the Blues. And it was a big win for Pats, coming on the back of that trip to Estonia, going to extra time. I think they put in a really good performance. They started from foot. I thought the first half was very open and very good. Both teams were decent. Pats were slightly better, but Waterford still have opportunities. Melia takes his goal well. It's good play. Levy, Waterford don't get their line well. Levy does well, though. He picks out the pass at the right time. If he delays that by half a second, he's probably offside Melia. Melia does well, shows composure, makes it 1-0. Waterford had bits and pieces of dangerous moments in that first half, that's for sure. Lonergan should do better with the header. That just goes over the bar. I don't know, he just doesn't attack it properly, does he? It's a great chance, really. But just before that, Mason Amelia had a good chance for Pats as well, which he hit straight at the keeper too. And in the second half, Pats were completely dominant and played some excellent football, in particular in that half. And probably could have had a few more goals. And you would have said that it wouldn't have been unfair had Pats won 3 or 4-0. I think it was a really good performance by Pats. They're best in the league in a long time. Waterford will say they didn't play well, and wish they didn't either, but at the same time, Pat still had to go out and perform. They did. Mealy had a great chance where he rounds the keeper. He should score, though, shouldn't he? he should score. I think it's something that Melia has improved mostly. I think for a 17-year-old, he's an excellent player. He can link up the play. When he gets turned, he's a very powerful runner, movement good. But I do think he's gone to Spurs, at the end of the day, and I do think his finishing has to improve. I think in the last few weeks, he's played reasonably well, actually. But he's left... Strikers will always miss chances, by the way. They'll always miss chances. I don't care who you are. But he's left a lot of big chances behind him. I'm sure he'd agree himself. And they could have been critical if Waterford came down the other end and got an equaliser, but Conor Carty comes on and Brandon Kavanagh's corner is well played. Carty does well, he attacks it well and buries it with his left foot. Pats had another chance earlier where Redmond's header is cleared off the line by Burke, who was on a yellow and he hits his hand. But I have to say, I didn't see much of a foul in there. So that at the time I felt was quite fortunate, to be honest, for Waterford. And yeah, Waterford later in the game, I think Waterford lost their discipline and lost their shape a little bit, to be honest with you. They did lose it a little bit in that sense. Olowinka came on, I think he didn't look fit whatsoever and everything he'd done on and off the ball. I think Miles could have had a red card, actually. Levy was away and, normally you'd say, when you take someone down when they're away, stopping a counter-attack is a yellow, but it's not the best tackle. It's not just a case of he stops him, it's a bad challenge, if you know what I mean. I think he could have got a red for that, so he's probably a bit fortunate there. I think they lost their discipline a little bit, Waterford, and in fairness to Pats, they kept their cool, and Chris Forrester was back in the team, very comfortable. Kazim, I thought, played one of his better games when he came on for Pats as well. And we'll just see what happens to Pats coming to the end of the season. It would be strange and funny if they ended up getting into Europe again, wouldn't it? You'd be kind of saying to yourself, why do they do this every year? Why do they struggle for so long and then put on a run at the end of the season to maybe qualify for Europe? So they're definitely in the hunt. I think they've got Sligo Rovers at home next, so after the busy task tie, so that could be interesting too. But yeah, Waterford, I think what's stopping Waterford though, at one point, a few points you were saying with Waterford that maybe they could get into the conversation for a European place, and then you were kind of saying maybe they could be dragged into it. I don't think either is going to happen with them, to be honest with you. I think they concede too many goals and give up too many good chances, being honest with you, and I've said it for a couple of weeks. They can be quite good going forward and good to watch going forward generally. But they concede an awful lot of goals. In fact, they've conceded the same amount of goals as Cork City. So that's the worst concession in the whole league, themselves in Cork City. You're not qualifying for Europe and making a proper challenge, even though they're not that far off in terms of points. You're not doing that, I think, in that situation. I just don't think they're strong enough at the back, to be honest, and that's holding them back, really. But yeah, very good result for the Saints, and for now they go marching on. The Blues will have to be content, but to be fair, they've been a yo-yo club for a couple of years, so at the moment, staying in the Premier Division, it's not the worst place to be either. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, at Tallaght Stadium, Shamrock Rovers beat Derry City by 2-0. Another game I watched. I watched the last game there, spoke about two, and Rory Gaffney's goals in 65 minutes were enough to give the Tallaght outfit a victory over the Candy Stripes. And Derry City haven't beaten Shamrock Rovers since 2023, and I think if you're going to really challenge for a title, that stat has to change, basically. You have to be able to beat them at least once in a season, but I still think with Derry, there's an element of transition, new manager in, a lot of new players this season. Even in the window there, losing Grant Holt, Kevin Holt, I should say, was massive for them. And it's caused a bit of disorganisation in the back line. I said that could be the case. Also, though, even though Rovers are a better team, much better team in the second half, Derry weren't bad in the first half, and Michael Duffy had a couple of chances. The one that hits the post is close. Obviously, it's good play. And if it goes in, then there's a question being asked. I did feel Derry City had to win this, though, if Shamrock Rovers were going to probably win back the title. There's 10 games to go, there's 10 points in it. But it's not just that. It's the fact that Shamrock Rovers are 10 points up. And who do you see catching them? I don't see anyone catching them. I do think Tiernan Lynch in this game, be interested to see what Derry fans think of this, did make a bit of a mistake. I think he played too many new players, though. You've got Hayden Cann and Sam Todd there. And okay, Hayden Cann and Sam Todd might be the type of players that ultimately get you to challenge for the title. But they're settled enough since the start of the season. He brought in Bannon, Stoute, And obviously Fleming and actually Adam O'Reilly came into the right wing back position. So he made an awful lot of changes in the back line. I just felt, was it unnecessary? Adam O'Reilly's a midfielder and a good midfielder. But surely you played Boyce there. Fleming played well the last game. I can understand him coming in a left wing back. But instead of playing the likes of Stout and Bannon there, are you not better served going with Can and Todd, who at least understand the tactics, the system, the goalkeeper, Mark Connolly, whoever. And they really struggled to bring them in for a game against Shamrock Rovers at Tallaght Stadium, such a big game. In my opinion, was a mistake. Bannon actually really struggled, I thought, and he picked up a second yellow later on and got red carded also. But I don't know. I think that was a mistake from Tiernan Lynch. But again, if Derry City get into Europe, it's for me, it's job done for this season. But as I said, they did have opportunities in the first half. They were slightly better side in the first half. But Rovers came flying out in the second half. And the early goal from Gaffney, they hit the bar after that through Conor Malley. Another good chance as well. But Gaffney's goal later in the half was brilliant. He does brilliantly, doesn't he? His 8 goals a season. Chops in his left and finishes well. Although I think it was obvious he was doing that. So the defender gets a bit flat-footed there as well with Gaffney. But that's not Gaffney's problem. Brilliant goal from his point of view. And it's a brilliant win, and they're in a good place, Shamrock Rovers, with the Cup and Longford Town at home, etc. coming up and in Europe. And, you know, it's they're in a really good place and they look really, really strong at the moment. As I said, for Derry City, disappointing. I'd be disappointed with that if I was a Derry fan with the comments I made there, though, regarding all those changes, especially in the back line. When you make so many changes in the back line and new players coming in, it's probably the worst area in the pitch to do that in. And he could have played Ronan Boyce, couldn't he? For example, he could have played Hayden Can, he could have played Sam Todd. At least it would have given them a bit of, continuity there. And they might have lost anyway, who knows? But I did think that was a mistake, and disappointing for Derry City in that scenario. But Europe has to be their thing. Shamrock Rovers flying, doing brilliantly. And it looks like they're going to win their 5th title in 6 years, which for me is a massive achievement. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.